I just want to say that I'm back.
Hey y'all, and welcome to another Thoughtful Thursday. How are y'all? So today's video is going to be giving some honest level up advice. I was inspired by the Afrocentric Woman's Where to Meet Generous Men video. So go check that out and subscribe if you, for some strange reason, have not already. Bestie, what are you doing? This has honestly been weighing on my mind for a while now, and after hearing the Afrocentric Woman's video, I'm taking it as a sign that I need to go ahead and share my 2 cents. After navigating through this femininity space, I'm realizing that, how do I want to say this? Well, basically, a lot of y'all are your own worst enemy. I have stopped going to the comment sections on almost all of the more popular content creators because frankly, it is just annoying to see the same tired questions that have been answered a million times over. And frankly, a lot of the energy was just oozing fear, desperation, anxiousness, even anger. And if I, as a woman, am getting turned off, it's no wonder y'all are having a hard time attracting better experiences with men. Y'all, I promise, while it does take some strategy, it's not as complicated as some of you seem to think it is. Now, hear me out. I promise I'm not trying to neg you or come from a place of superiority. I'm just trying to speak bluntly and give it to you straight, no chaser, because first of all, suggestive advice doesn't seem to work. And, well, I've been you. At the end of the day, the key to attracting better experiences in life, not just with men, begins with you. None of this advice and level up content matters if you aren't going to take the first step onto the path. Some of y'all seem to have a stronger desire to live vicariously through level up content creators than to actually level up. Let me tell y'all about my most recent excursions freestyling. So I've spent 2, maybe 3 years leveling up my mentality and physical looks, and after spending some time doing online dating, I said to myself, you know what, this ain't panning out, so let's go do things the old-fashioned way, but more importantly, let's have fun. And so made the decision to start going out by myself. This accomplishes 2 things. Number 1, it forces me out of my comfort zone because I have to basically brush off my socializing skills. I can't rely on more outgoing friends to carry any conversations. And number 2, convinces myself that I enjoy my own company. That last one is the most important because it convinces my subconscious that I am whole by myself. If I am whole, then I am not lacking. Since I do not lack, I am abundant. And since I am abundant, I attract abundance. That's how it works. I also am using these freestyling sessions to normalize the energy of having a man provide for me. So before I left the house, I decided that I would not be paying for my bill. I actually did a ritual I got from this book. Highly recommend, by the way, and I'll probably discuss it another time. But I basically envisioned myself being told that someone had covered the bill for me and imagined the joy that comes from someone spending money on me. If you haven't experienced that, imagine it like getting a gift and immerse yourself in the feeling of gratitude for said gift. That's also powerful. The first night, I went to this restaurant in a downtown beach area after seeing an ad for it on Instagram. Firstly, I checked the menu pricing and the menu items. Saw crab and lobster on the menu. The average price of entrees was like $30-$40. So I said, yeah, this is the energy I want in my life. Got dressed up and headed out. I'm sitting at the bar, just vibing, existing, and waiting for the universe to deliver. The bartender offered me my check, and I almost paid for it twice. But I stopped myself and said, nah. I said I'm not, therefore, I'm not paying for it, and just continued existing patiently. Eventually, I ordered some dessert, and when I tasted it, I felt such bliss, delight, and gratitude to be enjoying the food and the night. And wouldn't you know it, a man sitting a few chairs away ends up commenting on my reaction to it, and we start conversing. Since he was sitting a little far away, I invited him to come closer, and y'all, he tried it and said I should move closer to him. And you know what? I almost did. But as I moved to gather my things, I was like, wait a minute. I no longer chase men. If I want a man who is going to provide, that means he's making my life easier, which means I am not inconveniencing myself for him. You know what? No. If he really wants me, he'll move and stop gathering my stuff. And then you know what happened? He corrected himself and got up and moved closer to me. He eventually, lazily, or shyly, depending on your perspective, asks me out by saying, "I'd love to see you around sometime." I smiled and said, "I don't know what that means." He tried again with, "I'd like to hang out sometime." And me, again, playing dumb because I no longer approve of passivity in men, said, "What do you mean hang out? Are you asking me on a date?" And he kind of paused and said, "Yes, I am. I would love to take you out." And then mentioned some pub. In my head, I'm like, not good enough. But I take it as another opportunity to test him and say, slightly amused and low-key disapprovingly, that could be fun, but that sounds a little too casual for a first date. This man looks at me, honestly shocked and maybe even a little embarrassed, and says, "You know what? You're right," and then suggests some fancier, more expensive restaurant. So I agree to the date. At this point, I'm tired and confident that he wants me more than I want him, so I simply ask him, "Hey, do you want to be a gentleman and take care of this for me?" And point to the check. Y'all, he did not even open it. He simply picked it up and placed it on top of his. And that was the end of the night. Now, are we going to go on that date? Who knows? Will this man be my husband? Again, no clue, but more importantly, I don't care. I think we put too much pressure on ourselves and the experience of dating due to many of us doubting our ability to get whatever it is that we want, or worse, our worthiness. Focus on feeling good. Focus on enjoying you. I mean, that's what it means to be the prize. You are worthy simply because you exist. You are coveted because that is your nature. I no longer have any anxious worry over whether or not a man will be the one, because I now realize if I can attract one, I can attract another. I've stopped looking at men as prospective husbands I need to catch and started looking at them as experiences that can make life more enjoyable. This helps me be more relaxed around them and more enjoyable to be around, which then makes them, I've realized, more willing to do whatever it is that's going to keep me in a good mood, because my confidence triggers the instincts that tell them they need to impress me.
So, lady, you got a job?
No. Whoops. Anyone have some change?
These experiences are getting me used to the feeling of the desirable qualities of the man I really want, so that when I do eventually meet him, I'll intuitively know. This is what it means to be a divine feminine. The second time I went out, I ended up at this restaurant/golf club, and it was very clear the people in there had money. But I did not give any energy to imposter syndrome. I gave all my energy to hoping for the best possible outcome. I told myself again, I'm here to enjoy my own company on a man's dime. This time, it was much easier for me to be patient, and lo and behold, a group of men come in and sit next to me. At first, they kept more to themselves, but I found myself laughing at a few moments in their conversation and end up asking the bartender what the one next to me was drinking, and he basically saw that as an in and struck up a conversation. By the time his buddies were ready to leave, this man asked me for my phone number, so I said, sure, if you pick up my tab. And what did that man do? Excuse me, bartender, could I have her bill? This may not be very spiritually PC of me to say, but you've got to be the cockiest, entitled, and dare I say borderline narcissistic and slightly delusional being if you really want to get what you want. And this is especially when it comes to men. I recently had an epiphany where I realized that the reason I was having a hard time attracting quality men consistently was because I was low-key feeling unworthy due to the fact that I haven't reached my final form. I was hesitant to go out to these venues because I kept making excuses about how much money I needed to have or what accomplishments I needed under my belt, convincing myself that I have to wait to really be happy. I'm not going to lie, sometimes we do have to wait for our manifestations, but that doesn't mean we can't enjoy ourselves today. The experiences we have leading up to the fruition of our heart's desires are what's going to help bring them in, because when you feel your best, you attract the best. Recognize and tell yourself that you are already your best self because you are exactly where you're meant to be. On the path. You are manifesting the life you want to live because this journey that you are currently on is always bringing you one step closer to whatever it is that you want. Telling yourself that it is coming is what actually brings the manifestation in. You can't expect to be treated as a prize if you feel unworthy of that treatment. You can't manifest a quality man if you don't actually go to venues with those men. As a friend of mine so wonderfully pointed out, girl, what? Do you expect him to break in? If you keep telling yourself they're hard to come by, or if you keep giving attention to the undesirables, then guess what? Dusty men are going to keep flocking to you. I used to get so bent out of shape when I would see or experience dusty men. But now, girl, what the hell is a dusty?
Never felt that, never been through that, ugly, never experienced that emotion, truly, never, don't know what that is.
They do not exist in my world, and this is my world. I don't have to do or put up with anything for any longer than I desire. This next part is specifically addressed to Black women because I know I have a lot of y'all on my channel, and maybe it's out of place for me to say this because I'm only half Black, but hear me out. If you really want to empower yourself and level up, you eventually need to stop consuming content on the degeneracy of Black men. Here's the thing. I completely understand how learning about the pathology of Black men and Blackistan is a bit cathartic and especially therapeutic. A few of those channels dedicated to those topics were instrumental in helping me overcome my daddy issues and even forming the basis of my channel. But it gets to a certain point where it's like, okay, why do I need constant reminders of the existence of these losers? I don't want this in my life, so why do I keep giving it energy by giving it my attention? Back when I was doing online dating, I had to sift through so many dusties, to the point that even opening the apps would instantly annoy me. So I said to myself, you know what? I am not going to attract desirable experiences when this experience doesn't feel good. Since this isn't working, let's do something else to have a different experience. So I went outside and decided to have a good time. I'm not saying those channels shouldn't exist. I'm saying you're stunting your growth by continuing to consume that content once you've learned the lesson. The core lesson of the content is illustrating what happens when the divine masculine and feminine forget their spiritual functions and obligations to themselves as well as each other. You realize the key to peace is embracing and nourishing your femininity. But in order to do that, you need a source of healthy masculinity. But that healthy source cannot come in if the spot is taken up by role reversal agents of chaos. This includes women who get off on verbally emasculating men. Y'all have got to be careful about who you're consuming, whether in content or comments, because a lot of these women are being consumed by their shadows. If they were really about leveling up, they'd be moving different, and it would be reflected in the people they choose to interact with. I understand we all have our own paths and we're all at different stages. That's fine. But a lot of y'all are not seeing the growth you want simply because you are not taking the necessary steps to move to the next level. If you want to level up, that means you have to be willing to move up, which is going to involve leaving certain thoughts, behaviors, environments, or people behind in order to make room for the desirable stuff you claim to want.
I'm sorry, not everybody fits in the bad bitch genre. It's a genre. Not everybody fits on the roster.
Remember, you're safe, you're secure, you're abundant in all, but only so long as you believe it. That's it for this video. I'll see y'all in the next one. Love you.